I'd like to start off with diving into the experience of your team first, as although the change of investment strategy for your company may be new, that's far from the case for the industry experts that you brought together. Can you give us investors a background into your work experience, but also some of the individuals you brought together to lead Eat Well Group?
Absolutely. Listen, you've actually hit on something pretty critical. We're not opportunists who've come into the space. Actually, across our management team are literally decades, multiple decades of leadership in plant-based foods, financing, commercial architecture, global business development, and literally building facilities to make more plant-based foods available to more people. I'll start with myself briefly. I'm over a 20-year CPG executive. I've been doing this long enough that I could say I've been doing this long enough now. And I joke that I started my career at the original plant-based food business, also known as the Quaker Oats Company. So I worked in a variety of brand management type roles at big, iconic household brand named businesses like Gatorade, like Quaker. I've actually been in over 24 different consumer categories and have been in a variety of roles from corporate strategy to M&A and leadership and executive management. But I'm just one of the key folks across our team, whether it's our finance lead, Mr. Pat Dunn, who's was involved in building the Verdient company, with Mark Coles, our chief investment officer, that eventually had an exit to Ingredion, which is one of the top Fortune 500 plant-based food ingredient companies today. Barry Dodato, who is our VP of Business Development, who's worked through ultra high net worth global business development, strategic architecture deals, and our financing partners. We have literally several decades of building businesses, architecting deals, and specifically in plant-based. About 5 or 6 years ago, some of our team members were investing in Beyond when people had never heard of it, and they were just beside themselves at a valuation of $200 million. Well, you know the rest of the story today. In fact, we were early investors in players like Beyond to the tune of 50 to 75 million was the basket of funds we deployed. Today, that's dwarfed. It's literally billions of dollars in 2021 that have been deployed in this space. But what we bring to the table is we've made a lot of the right mistakes. Candidly, we've known how to make investments in players that have won. We also know where there are gaps in the chain. I know we're going to talk about that in a minute, how we built design in the vertical chain. But the other piece I want to hit with our team is these investments we've made in Bell Pulse and Sapientia, we'll talk about them in a moment, bring together some absolute rock stars when it comes to plant-based foods. Tony and Francis Gaudet are the brothers who've run this 4-decade-long business called Bell Pulse. It is a strong, profitable, well-run business, the crown jewel of the prairies in Canada, we call it. And then we have Dr. Gino Bertone, who is a veteran of Frito-Lay, one of their leading food scientists who invented the Twisted Cheeto, who decided it's time to make functional foods like vegan-based Cheetos, which is what we acquired as part of his IP portfolio with Sapientia. So without exaggeration, we'd say we've got about 100 years of experience. We've learned all the right things. We know what the hard mistakes are. And we bring, I would argue, a level of not just professional know-how, but deep relationships in the space, whether they're commercial, whether they're global. Usually when someone asks us, do you know about this item or that one, we've already not just known about it, but we know the people behind it. And the other bit, I think, is we understand how to look at fiscal discipline. Listen, we're building a long-term successful company. We understand the play between a gross margin and an EBITDA margin. We're not entrepreneurs who just started. We love entrepreneurs and we love bringing them on board. We'll be doing a lot of that in the foreseeable future. But I think our management team brings something that's equally as powerful as any of the other world-class operators you have in the space. And we're delighted because a lot of these folks are our friends. Plant-based foods is a long-term, it's a secular trend that we're just very excited to continue our growth in.